Certainly words to live by from the great Nick Saban, who brings us all his insight from SEC Media Days. Coach, we appreciate you so much for joining us here.
All right, thank you. You want me to say go dogs or what?
Can you? Too late, we got it.
No.
Georgia, now that I've gotten Nick Saban to say go dogs on camera, can I finally get that honorary degree I've been stalking you about?
Oh, it's time. That's actually a valid case.
I'm just saying.
That's actually...
Like, with all due respect to people who write thesis and do
Correct.
all this research and things like that to get
Who's
their
reading
degree,
them?
I got Nick Saban to say go dogs sort of on national television.
First of all, I ain't no sort of about it.
Isn't that worth
That's how you make a comeback, Elle.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Come on.
Well, it was a great opportunity for me because I'm going to have the opportunity to talk to the great Nick Saban. Next week, I'll be in Atlanta for an SEC Opportunities Forum, which is essentially an entire sort of organization and group of people who are trying to help black coaches advance in the SEC. So they want to hear from the greatest coach of all time, or definitely the greatest SEC coach of all time, and Nick Saban. So as Nick said, it was like a tune-up for next week when we hang.
I ain't going to lie to you. Next week, you're hanging out with the GOAT. I mean, recently, you've been hanging out with a lot of famous people that you allegedly can't talk about, but let's get into it. I mean, just last week, you were with and then what about what the hell, Elle? I get 0 invites. My phone drier than the Sahara last week when you were gallivanting. Can I even say where you were at? Sun Valley? Where's that?
In Idaho. No, it's not. It is definitely a city that's in Idaho.
Sure.
We're not supposed to talk about it. It's like the Fight Club. You don't talk about it, but you're talking about me. You hung out with Noah Khan.
I'm a con head.
That is a really big deal.
On top of the world.
According to TikTok, that I learned after I Googled. No, I do know who he is. I do. I am one of those people who's slower to newer acts just because I like hold on to all of the oldies and goodies. And it requires someone sort of cutting through. Like, I think when you told me you were hanging out with Noah Khan, I compared him as like the male Sabrina Carpenter. She came into my world and I love her. She is just like appeared.
Really?
I'm a big fan. And he's the same way. He's got all these #1 hits. He's starting to sell out stuff.
On top of the world. He just sold out 2 nights at MSG, and then he's a Vermont guy, you know, season of the sticks. I'm a New Hampshire guy. He grew up in Hanover, New Hampshire. He sold out Fenway 2 nights in a row, Thursday and Friday. It's going to be a good time. I'll be there.
Yeah. So we'll get into a little bit more of how you got to hang on and be a hanger-oner for a big star.
That's a heavy accusation.
How you got to follow around like a fanboy. I can't wait to talk more about that. I would love to be able to fangirl this weekend in Phoenix as we're getting ready for the WNBA All-Star. I will miss it. People have been asking me. I will miss All-Star for one really incredible reason. Great friend getting married.
Yeah.
Gonna be at that wedding. That wedding has been established since before I was doing W coverage, so I won't be there. But there's so much excitement in the air, not only for the All-Star, but because of the news that we had on Wednesday, which is that the W has agreed to a $2.2 billion deal in new media rights.
That's
Let's
a B.
go.
Billion with a B.
So these would be agreements with ESPN, Amazon, and NBC. And it more than triples their existing rights money right now, which is at about $60 million per year. This is an amazing run of women's sports because we had the news confirmed last week that Bob Iger, CEO of Disney, and his wife Willow Bay would be buying the controlling stake of Angel City FC, $250 million. And we are finally, for the first time, seeing all of these the data points and the metrics and the ratings and all of the attention. We are seeing that tangibly shown how important the investment is and how much it costs. And that is so important that we are actually putting a monetary value to the explosion of women's sports, and it's been great.
I think anytime you talk about, you know, hey, building a structure, you always talk about setting the foundation and then building the infrastructure around it. Well, the foundation obviously has been set for the WNBA since its inception in the late 90s. And it's been a slow build up to this point that it's sort of exploded in the last couple of years. So now the foundation is there. The pieces are in the league operating. They're, you know, you have some grizzled veterans who helped get them to this point. Now you have this young influx of talent and rivalries and the next wave of these players that are going to be coming in. Juju Watkins comes to mind. You saw it on display at the ESPYs. I was fortunate enough to host the Humanitarian Awards last week there, and Julie Ehrman with Angel City FC. They won Sports Humanitarian Team of the Year for everything that they do out there. So it's all positive, forward momentum. So this is great. I don't think there's any sort of excuse now about eyeballs or resources. I mean, you talk about $2 billion with a B, and it's multiple players in the streaming game and in the live rights media game. Obviously, ESPN spearheading so much of it. It's all there. It's all being gift wrapped. Here you go. Take with it what you will. Now do well with it. So let's see it continue to grow. It's all good stuff.
You can see the growth when you look at something like a WNBA All-Star. It's been interesting to hear some of the OGs in the space, Ryan Rucco, Holly Rowe, Rebecca Lobo, LaChina Robinson. They were doing some media talking about the impending All-Star game. And they were like, yo, this All-Star game, like the party used to be like a cheese platter in a dank like banquet room somewhere. Like this is like, it was never really the event that it is becoming, the event that the NBA is, and now it is. I mean, it is.
I thought you were going to say Chili's for a second. I was like, that sounds like a dope party. Have you ever had a triple dipper?
Yeah. Could you even imagine egg rolls like Bonanza?
Why it got to be egg rolls? That's crazy, Elle. Elle, that's really crazy.
No,
You're gonna say kielbasa?
No, I'm telling you because when I think of delicious
Southwest egg rolls,
appetizers,
I know.
the Southwest egg rolls
I
and
rock with
Chili's
you.
are the thing.
But you forgot the Southwest part, which is kind of crazy. You wanted to say Eastern. you got your cardinal directions mixed up. You're like, those egg rolls, Far Eastern egg rolls? Yo, those egg rolls do slap. I go to Chili's quite often.
Yeah. And listen, this is not to besmirch Chili's. It's just that, like, maybe they shouldn't be the site of, like, the post-game party for the WNBA is all I'm offering.
If it's good enough for the Dundies, it's good enough for any awards banquet and
There you
event
go.
you're about to have.
And, of course, we're going to have, like, more festivities this year. Big if true. Pitbull will be performing.
Dale!
I have to. Dale.
Dale!
Dale.
Dale!
Can I make one little gripe about like Pitbull's like statement though when it was revealed that he would be performing at the All-Star game? He's like, I came from a woman.
Oh my God.
And a woman made me a man. And I'm like, you didn't have to do all that.
God dang,
If you were getting the NBA All-Star gig, you would just be like, I can't wait to watch the best at the best. We're going to have a great time. Instead, it's like, he's like, one day my mother missed her period and out I came.
Oh my God. Let me explain y'all a little thing about biology, right? I exited from a womb and can't spell woman without womb. And also that other part. Hey, I think I just made a connection right there, Elle. Hey, you can use that one.
Except for that you can spell woman without womb because there's no B in woman, but that's fine. Woman.
but I just feel like when we were putting together the English language, that one was right there. Like, okay, there's a man and then it comes out of a womb man.
Back and
Hey, that's pretty good.
I'm gonna profess myself to
Y'all
be
can
a
have that
woman. A woman. So we've got that. We've got the skills challenge and the 3-point contest. I'm not gonna lie. It feels like a bit of a bummer that in the 3-point contest, we're not going to see arguably the best 3-point shooters in the league in Caitlin Clark, Sabrina Ionescu, Kelsey Plum. Now, I understand for Sabrina and Kelsey because they're playing in the Olympics. They're trying to save their arm. They're not really here for the exhibition part of it. Caitlin, I imagine, is incredibly tired. It just feels like it takes a little bit of the wind out of those sails. But I thought that there was a cool sort of stunt casting, if you will. They announced that the Hall of Famer Cheryl Miller is going to actually coach the WNBA All-Stars, who, of course, will be going up against the Olympic roster. And I'm interested,
smack that out.
Who do you think is going to win this one?
Give me the WNBA All-Stars only because not only because, but this entire season, this entire WNBA season buildup has been like Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, they hate each other, mortal enemies, from college, now in the pros. They're getting the best of each other in these regular season games. Oh, but what happens when my enemy becomes my teammate?
Sure.
Right? And now, obviously there was a bigger proponent of why isn't Caitlin Clark on the U.S. women's national team? And now they get to play the U.S. women's national team, so I would love to see that dynamic. Do remember I explained it to you, the gridiron gang style, right? Like two opposing gang members, now they're on the same team. Now Angel Reese is the lead blocker for hopefully what is to be a great performance from Caitlin Clark and everybody. And that's why I'm pulling for the WNBA All-Stars, because then they have that feather in their cap. Like, all right, yeah, y'all can go win this gold medal, but don't remember who served y'all back home.
By the
Take
way,
that.
side note, I love that Gary compared this to like gang members when the closest gang he's ever been to was the West Side Story on Broadway.
Okay, first of all, I did have a cameo in that when I was okay. Yeah, it was when I was in Houston, and they're like, "Do you want to have a performing role as like a cameo for?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!" I was just tucked away in a corner, and I was just 10 seconds, and I was out. But then I had to like build it up because it was local news. I ran off stage, just like, that was one of the most exhilarating moments of my life.
Oh.
Gosh, the stage, the lights, the crowd, the screaming. I don't know what the hell I was doing. They were just like, "Yo, Gary, go stand in the corner." Like
And
literally,
snap.
go
You would've- you
go
would've
stand in
been-
the corner.
If this was a movie, you would have been credited as Snapper number 8.
Hey, give me my IMDb though. Send them residuals. You get residuals for plays? Probably
I
not.
don't think so.
So yeah, that's why. And real quick, obviously the marquee event is WNBA versus U.S. Women's National Team. But I thought, as we're talking about like momentum, forward momentum, like hype and build up, it was just last year where it was Steph versus Sabrina in the 3-point contest, like where Sabrina was, "Yo, I want the best of Steph." I know that was the NBA All-Star game.
NBA All-Star.
But still, I feel like you could have had a moment like that with these shooters. The Olympics is in 3 weeks.
I know, but the Olympics men's team, because I thought the same thing, but the Olympics men's team is already an exhibition play. Like they're in
Correct.
London right now, so Steph's not, able to come and do.
No, but I'm
stunt
saying like
casting and
Sabrina,
something like
Caitlin, you know what I'm saying? Like build it
that.
up.
Sure, again, it is a little unique because it's an Olympic year.
Sure.
It's also why I wouldn't really read into too much. Like the WNBA All-Stars versus the Olympic roster. Last time they did this, the WNBA All-Stars actually won. I think it's because the Olympic roster understands they've got much bigger fish to fry. I can't imagine they're going to be doing significant minutes. I can't imagine they're going to be playing their absolute hardest, and they shouldn't. Like in
Built-in
this
excuses
instance,
already, Elle. You building in them excuses.
we don't want that because imagine something devastating happening to an integral part of our Olympic team in an exhibition game and what that looks like when we go internationally to play. Absolutely not. I hope y'all take a break. I hope we do not see too much of you, but that we see a fun, competitive game nonetheless.
Elle, the women's national team is going to smoke the rest of the competition, all right? Listen, I'm not a betting man, all right, but I would bet the house on the U.S. women's national team winning their 6th straight gold medal. Is it 6? They're sitting on 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, bank that 6.
Since 1996.
Straight up.
Every
Come
single
on.
Olympic. Now, the one thing that has been interesting and that will certainly add to the conversation based on how they play on Saturday is, of course, Rookie of the Year race. Caitlin Clark, shout out to her. Yesterday against the Wings, she gets 19 assists. That sets an WNBA record that was previously held by Courtney Vandersloot. I mean, Caitlin Clark is absolutely playing out of her mind, despite the fact that they did not get the win, and she noted should have because it was against the Wings, the worst team in the league.
And it's what you didn't say that is profound to me in that statistic.
Which
19
is?
assists is a WNBA record, not a WNBA rookie record.
Yeah,
This
WNBA
is
record.
The record that's been set, and she broke it halfway through her rookie campaign.
Yeah.
I think when people say like, "Hey, this Rookie of the Year race," it's a race in that there's other entrants in it, but Caitlin Clark is running away with it. She's a minus 2,000 favorite. Since yesterday, her odds doubled.
Sure,
She was
especially after the
already a
history bit.
She was already a minus 1,000 favorite to win it.
Not everybody agrees with you, including the Hall of Famer Dawn Staley, who had this to say about who was her current
I got
Rookie
something
of
for
the Year
Dawn.
winner. Listen,
If you had to evaluate it from your perspective, who do you think is having that season, you know?
Oh, so you're gonna try to put me in the controversy, right?
No, I mean,
they both are having great years.
yeah.
Don't get me wrong. If I had to pick a rookie of the year at this time,
Like today you had to pick,
today
you know?
it's Angel.
Yeah,
not a
like-
doubt. I mean what she's been able to do with
Right.
the double doubles.
okay, so I don't agree with the without a doubt part, but I think that this idea that anyone who doesn't choose Caitlin is a hater is ridiculous. Like, listen, Caitlin Clark is still my Rookie of the Year. She is. I mean, she has now scored or assisted on 915 points. That is a rookie single season record. She's about to break the all-time assists for a single season record. And I think that, like, what she is doing, especially at a position, we've already said this on this show, that is harder to translate right away than some of your post positions, she is still my Rookie of the Year. But to dismiss Dawn Staley as some hater who hates Caitlin Clark because she chose Angel Reese, I also think is totally unfair, because I think that someone could make an argument for Angel Reese. It's not such a huge gap that even making the argument is ridiculous, is all I'm saying. And I think that, like, I personally think it's Caitlin Clark, and I think most of the population would probably agree. But when you hear from these, you know, Shaq said the same thing. Now we know that Shaq and Angel Reese are related, and so his is tinged. His isn't exactly
Reebok.
Yeah, in objective opinion, but I still think that it is not without the realm of possibility that Angel Reese could do enough to tighten that race. I still don't know that she's going to win it.
It's a very wide gap right now.
The part that Dawn did say that was not in that clip right there that was cut off was she said, I actually think that the Rookie of the Year is going to be whoever ends up making the playoffs.
Thank you for making that point, because I'll raise you your Hall of Famer and give you Rebecca Lobo just this morning on Get Up, who said, you know, toughest strengths of schedule, the Fever, and they are currently right now in a playoff spot.
Sure, at number 7.
Ahead of the
Sky.
Chicago Sky, who made the playoffs last year and who are on the fringe of not.
Sure.
So if we're talking about that complete flip-flop, the Sky were a better team last year than they are this year, right? And they are playing worse. Also, assisted in more points. You already mentioned that point, WNBA rookie record. And
they also lost Kalia Copper. I mean, the Sky didn't get, the Sky got worse and then replaced veteran talent. Kalia Copper was like leading the league in points. So you lose that. And then the Chicago Sky also yesterday traded away Marina Mabry, which was shocking. She's a really integral part of their starting 5.
Participating in the skills contest.
Who's in the skills contest, and she got traded to the Sun. Yeah. I'm with you. I'm just saying it's not as if all things were created equal. The Sky got worse before they tried to supplement. They are rebuilding. They are a team that is rebuilding, and right now sit in the A spot.
And everybody, when they get Caitlin Clark knows she is getting everybody's best shot every single game. It's like that backcourt's Super Bowl, right? Yeah. In terms of that. So I'm just saying, like, it's Caitlin Clark in a landslide for me right now. It would have to be drastically flipped in the second half of the season to change my mind.
All right. So there it is. That's where Gary's at right now. The good news is the W takes a bit of a break, and so do we. Theirs is going to last a little bit longer. Ours will not be a month. When we come back on the other side, we're going to run some stuff through the Truth Translator and tell you what they really meant with their mouth speed.
I'll do the Korean translation. Elle already knows that one.
Welcome back to the Elle Duncan Show. Remember that you can get new episodes every Monday and Thursday wherever you get your podcast, but you can watch our beautiful faces too. Gary doesn't sit through 45 minutes of makeup for you not to see him. YouTube.
Like Jim Carrey during The Grinch. You know, I had to go like SEAL Team 6 type training. The makeup ladies hate me.
What?
For real.
Whatever.
I mean, they love me, but they hate me because every time they tell me to look up, Elle, I do this. And then I always... when they're working around the lips, I always do this.
Yeah.
I just feel like it helps them, but they say it does not help at all.
They pretty much just need you to sit there like I do and look pretty. Just sit there with a vacant expression on your face.
Okay, but you're good at it. And I've walked in during your hair and makeup sessions, and you are just on your phone working or on your laptop, and I can't. Like, people get close to my eyes, and I freak out when they put the guy liner on or the concealer, and they, like, look up, and I'm like, and I always feel like they're going to stab me.
Well, that's the role of a professional, is to not do that.
The price you pay for beauty, am I right? I wouldn't know.
You're a beautiful person, inside and out.
Oh.
Gary, sometimes we've already established we're so excited to be back in person talking to each other. Sometimes you get a great week, especially for a show like this where we're doing lots of translating. There's so much content out there. In fact, so much so, we had to dust off the tried and true Truth Translator. That is so much alliteration.
As only we can do it. Also, did you know that Elle hates the word content? She hates the word content. But as a true professional, she grinned and bared it and said it for you. Let's translate.
All right. So the first thing that we're translating is Jaylen Brown caught on camera saying he doesn't think that Bronny is a pro. All right. So he's with his girlfriend, Kyrie Kondrazic. Gorgeous, and Angel Reese. They were former teammates on Chicago Sky. Just to give you a little backstory, she was cut recently from Chicago. Okay, so they're attending a summer league game. It's Bronny's game, and they're watching. And the first lesson that Jaylen Brown had to learn in this situation is that you are a big enough star and a big enough name that if you sit courtside at any major event, there will be a camera transfixed right on you the whole time. And some kid's just sitting there hoping that you give him something for social media. And certainly Jaylen Brown did by, oh my God, you guys, telling his truth
Whoa,
by
sharing an
saying,
opinion.
I don't think Bronny is a pro. Now, aside from the lesson that Jaylen Brown had to learn, this is absolutely asinine that
There it
people
is.
would think.
There it is.
There it is. This is stupid that people would think. He's just like,
I mean,
and then his girlfriend says, she says, I think he'll be on the G League team for sure.
Yeah.
And he goes, I don't think so. I think because of his name, he'll be on the Lakers. Now, before any of you take this is a hating approach. First of all, Jaylen Brown is uniquely qualified to say whether he thinks Bronny is a pro because he is a pro.
Prove it. List his credentials. What has he done recently?
What's he ever done, this guy?
Couple MVPs.
Second of all, there has been story after story after story that allegedly Bronny does not want to be a two-way player, does not want to play on the G League, wanted to be with a team that would assure he would stay in the pro. So that's not some reach either for him to say he ain't going anywhere. His dad's LeBron James. You think that LeBron's going to be like, you know what? We good. Now, if LeBron, I do actually believe that apart from having like his son as some pet, which is what people have described that he's doing, if LeBron thinks that his son will get a ton of value from going down and playing in the G League in order to ultimately become a great pro, I don't think that he would stand in the way of that. But I do believe that LeBron at some point is going to go, I think the tutelage under me is going to do more for Bronny than sending him to the G League. That's what I think, right? Also, that's not hating. That is Jaylen Brown's opinion. Gary, I have no idea why this is a thing, and I have no idea why he then backtracked, did Jaylen Brown.
A
little bit by saying, it's a flex to have your son alongside you in the NBA. It reflects greatness and longevity. Bronny has all the tools around him to be successful. I look forward to watching his growth. He never should have backtracked on this. Jaylen, nothing that you said was inflammatory.
I don't think that he backtracked at all. I mean, the last sentence hangs pretty heavy and true. Like, look forward to watching his growth, which means he's at the floor right now. And also, I will give you a shade of conspiracy, okay? As it relates to the Truth Translator, which I think we can all agree to a man that there's nothing to translate here. What he said is just fact. I mean, it doesn't take a CIA operative to break down and decipher what he was saying to that point. Jaylen Brown is a superstar in the NBA. He knows when cameras are around. You walk into an arena and people are going to know who Jaylen Brown is. You see these guys dap each other up and talk to each other post-game or even during a game. What do? It's always bring you in real tight, cover your mouth. I think he wanted cameras to catch him saying that. But again, he's not saying anything to your point that's inflammatory or that's untrue. He knows he's sitting courtside. He knows he's sitting baseline. He knows he's in the headline based off of what he was saying about, being snubbed off the USA men's national team. He knew cameras were on him 24/7, 365. He wanted that to be caught.
I don't think he did, Gary, because that feels like he tried to soften it with the tweet. The tweet of him sort of being like, let me soften this a little bit by saying like, oh, it's just such a great flex that you can't, like, he felt some kind of way about the backlash he was receiving based on what he said.
Sure.
And I think that he shouldn't have felt any kind of way about it. He wasn't nasty. That wasn't hate. We are so busy looking for any reason to be outraged about things that we don't even actually put it through the prism of experience. Jaylen Brown is experienced enough to say, I don't think he's a pro. That is an opinion. What is wrong with that? Now, hate is him saying, Bronny James is the trashiest basketball player I've ever seen. That is hate. That is not an opinion. That is just an insult. If you are one of the best players on the planet, by God, you get to say if you don't think someone is. And what is wrong with that? I am so
Nothing.
sick
No,
of
we're
it.
in lockstep. But Jaylen Brown, I think part of him wants to be like, man, I hope he's in the NBA because I'm going to cook his next season. Watch me dunk on you, and then I can tell LeBron, I just dunked on your little baby boy.
He ain't going to do that either.
I think both things can be true. I think that he can be truthful in what he's saying, that it's not shade, it's just truthful. But also, like, I wouldn't mind that people knew my stance on this.
Sure. I also think that, like, there was something that needed a little bit more clarity because Jaylen Brown's been subtweeting.
Correct.
The idea that he hasn't been able to get on the Olympic team, and of course his teammate Derek White was chosen, and that caused a whole hullabaloo, and you know he was tweeting random things. And so I do think he needed to run his tweets through the Truth Translator, and he addressed that at the Summer League.
way. I mean, what was the balance for you between sharing some of your frustrations with the process, but also congratulating him in that moment?
Absolutely. I called Derek right away. I know, just to make sure there's no confusion, like my love for you, and all of that, you know what I mean? So, like, he knew that, and he did. And but, you know, always got to make anything public, but me and D-Watt are good.
And there you go, right? He cleared it up. And both things can be true, that you can feel snubbed and be disappointed that you were not selected on an Olympic team weeks after you just got finals MVP. Correct. After just proving that you were a clutch player who can carry a team to a championship. It is okay to feel snubbed and feel some type of way and also ultimately be happy for your teammate. Both things can be true.
Definitely. Also, shout out to Jaylen Brown for being an old soul and picking up the phone and making a what?
A call?
An old-fashioned phone call? Derek was like, what the hell is this?
Would you use a rotary too, you old man?
10-10-220. Make a collect call for 99 cents every minute. I honestly think when you strip away like all of the drama that people are trying to inject into this whole like snubbery thing, it really is more of a compliment for Jaylen Brown not being put on the national team. They're basically like, dude, you are too good for the role that we need at this point. A Derek White, a guy who could facilitate, come off the bench, and like contribute on the periphery. Because like, yes, this team is stacked, it's loaded. You're too good of a player to fall in line with some role that would be beneath, truthfully, beneath what your skill set and what your last 3 months of basketball has proven you are. If you look at it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think
trust me on that.
Derek White can come off the bench and get buckets. Like, he can get some threes for you, and he's a good perimeter defender, and he's a solid role player. So if that's what they were looking for.
Jaylen Brown is not a role player.
He's not a role player, right, period. So I don't think there's any grievances there. My favorite sound, as we get ready to put away the Truth Translator, happened from Las Vegas Aces star.
Yes.
A'ja Wilson, because it was a big deal. Usher came to see the Sky and the Aces play, and despite a fantastic game that saw the Sky ultimately upset the Aces, all anybody is talking about is Usher was in the building. The reaction was great. There's video everywhere of the women reacting to Usher being there. I mean, who wouldn't? He's the greatest.
Come on.
But this was sort of caught on camera, and I thought it was hilarious. And apparently, again, everyone was outraged. Here's what A'ja Wilson said about her teammates. Okay, well, we are not actually hearing
Again,
it.
Don't need a CIA specialist to read those lips. Something about, what the F did y'all do? Now y'all worried about taking pictures with Usher.
She said they ain't did all day, but they want to take a picture with Usher. When I saw this, I thought it was hilarious.
Because it is, Elle.
I thought it was funny.
Correct.
She's ripping her teammates.
Yes.
She's talking about the ones that legitimately are dry. They don't even have to shower.
Yes.
You know, they're the ones that can go do just like what my husband likes
a week.
They call a hoe bath, where you just kind of, you just take a rag and you just hit the pits a little bit because you didn't even sweat. That's who she's talking to.
If that's a hoe bath, I just think they need to concentrate on a couple more areas. Is all I'm saying. If this is a hoe bath, all I'm saying is go low, ho. Anyway, sorry, I had to pivot. Omar always be coming up with the.
Yeah.
Come on, Omar, you can get me in trouble. Anyway.
You'll be like, I got 5 minutes. I can take a hoe bath. And apparently she had to apologize for this because people didn't take it for what it was, which was it's just fun ribbing. Like, we rib each other. I'm so tired of people having to apologize for absolutely everything. It's so annoying.
It's the sensitizing of this great nation. You know, I think that apologies need to carry more weight, all right? If we just throw out an apology for everything, then the apology means nothing. A'ja Wilson, you are quite literally the MVP of this league, the most valuable player in the league, which means you are the most important, valuable player on your team. You can get away with and say anything that you damn well please, because oftentimes when you say it, everybody else has to fall in line, because you know why? You are the most important player, the most vocal player on the team, and this is hilarious.
This is not any meaner than the I say to you every single week. And trust me when I say there will be no apology coming ever.
That's what I'm saying. This was good for A'ja Wilson, which, by the way, we know that, like, famously, she is an Usher stan.
Oh, yeah.
Like, she was freaking out when he came over to serenade her a couple of weeks. Which, by the way, A'ja Wilson is making the rounds with like best athlete in a women's sport, best WNBA player recently at the ESPYs, and like she joined SportsCenter not too long ago. People need to be Asia Wilson fans, is what I'm saying. Like we're propping up the right person here in the WNBA. She's awesome. Every time she's in front of a mic, it's awesome.
She's a great role model. She's a great businesswoman, and more importantly, she's the greatest basketball player currently on the planet.
Ooh, I thought you almost said of all time. I was like,
No.
don't be getting us in trouble.
Oh, I said currently
Okay.
on the planet. Speaking of getting in trouble,
Yes.
somebody had an incredibly embarrassing moment and will now go down as the worst blank of all time. But
For real.
did what she's facing mean that we have to stop with the fodder? That is coming up on the Elle Duncan Show. Stick around.
On the show, and I don't even know what that means.
We're back on the Elle Duncan Show. Gary Streisky, Elle Duncan.
Did you say Elle Duncan?
Elle Duncan.
Come on.
We had a moment happen that, every once in a while something happens, and even in this divisive country, we can all agree on it. We can all come together and we can dunk on someone. That's
Yes.
the one great thing about social media.
Ronnie James is not good at basketball. That's what Elle was going to say.
That is
I
not
disagree.
at all where I was going to say. I was going to go to the poor lady that sang the national anthem ahead of the home run derby, and her name was Ingrid Andress. Let me just tell you, this is how I found out this was happening, because I was driving home from SportsCenter. We were on late, so I didn't get a chance to see like the beginning.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, my family group text blows up. My sister's deaf, by the way, guys. She has 2 cochlear implants. If you don't know what those are, they're like they basically go inside your brain and they put like hearing aids inside your brain so that you can hear. And you wear these like magnets that help amplify things. Anyway, I just see a text message come across my phone that says, "Thank God I didn't have my cochlear implants in."
Oh my gosh.
Meaning, thank God I was currently deaf in this moment. And I was like, what is she talking about? And then I go back online, and even from the beginning, when they said, introducing 4-time Grammy nominee, country singer, I'm thinking, ooh, like there's so many great country singers that would smoke this.
Right. I mean, we are deep in the heart of Texas, man. I mean,
Hello?
you throw a stone and hit a Grammy winner.
They're like,
Grammy winner.
Ingrid Andress. I'm like, all right, well, I don't know this lady at all, but that's cool. And
Who is this Swedish lady?
Who is this
Ingrid.
Swedish country singer who won't make any eye contact with the camera?
Yeah.
And then, of course, we all know what happened, which is this.
Oh, say, can you see? But so proudly we does that star-spangled
Listen to the crowd.
banner yet wave.
It got worse from there, if you can believe it. Now, we, of course, everybody, social media goes nuts, Fergie
Deservedly
can
so.
finally rest, right?
Yes.
Fergie, who gave the strangest national anthem.
Your watch is over, Fergie. We got it from here.
Fergie, you got this, baby girl. Ingrid was like, hold my beer. Pun not intended, because
true.
we found out the next day when Ingrid announced she was going to rehab that she has a problem with alcohol and or other things and would be immediately checking herself into rehab. She said she was drunk. So the whole hold your beer moment was actual, quite literal.
How do you hold this water?
And I wonder, Gary, this brings up this question for me. As fun as it is to have this sort of fodder and dunk on someone for doing a horrible job in such a public way, do we immediately have to pull back on that when they say substance abuse was involved?
Absolutely not.
No.
Matter of fact, I think everybody has to get their licks in right away once we know and once we found out. And this is not me making any sort of light about people who actually go through substance issues or even like the mental health world as well, because we have a lot of that recently. I know that we've spoken about it like last season with John Morant. He's like, oh, I'm going to go get myself right, blah, blah, blah. I think a part of realizing you have a problem and wanting to correct that problem is having to sit in a little bit of shame and having to sit in a little bit of, oh my gosh, I made an of myself. Maybe there is a problem. I mean, because obviously we're a bunch of strangers to Ingrid, and before the national anthem, I don't know who she was. But I bet you like her closest friends are like clowning her in the group chat to her, right? Probably. I mean, if it's anything like my group chat, like your closest friends will will clown on you. They'll be the first ones to crack a joke. So I'm thinking that you have to sit in this shame a little bit to realize there's an issue, and I really want to get it fixed.
I actually
So let the jokes fly.
on a show where we agree on very little. I am 100% with you.
Boom! Look at me climbing the ranks.
I am 100%
at the bottom.
with you. They talk a lot about the shame spiral when it comes to substance abuse, and certainly hitting rock bottom and what your rock bottom is. Now, in the worst case scenario, rock bottom affects other people, hurts other people, impacts other people in a really significant way, or yourself. This is, I guess, the best case scenario for a rock bottom, which is that no one was hurt, but you embarrassed yourself in front of the entire world. And not only that, it will live in infamy
Hell yeah,
from
it will.
here on out. And even if, and I hope, and we're wishing her well.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of courage to come out and say you've got a problem and that you're
Sure.
going to do this. But I think a little bit of this is having to sit in that and face that.
Yes.
And then when you come out of rehab, reminding yourself that you have to sit in this discomfort.
Yeah.
Because a lot of what happens with substance abuse is that you are numbing pain.
Correct.
And so she's going to have to sit in this, and this is going to be a part of her legacy for now, but it doesn't have to be the only part. But I do agree with you that once it happens and it's out there in the world, we get to dunk on it.
Hey, I'll drink to that.
Oh, my God. Gary, we're going to close things out on the other side. Just go to commercial. Just go. Just go.
That was good. We're going to answer some of your interesting... Oh, the voicemail line's open.
Okay.
That's what we're doing next.
We keep reminding you that the Elle Duncan Show comes to you twice a week, Mondays and Thursdays, wherever you get your podcasts. Also on YouTube, you can watch us. And every Thursday on ESPN2 at 2 p.m. Eastern, you can watch us.
Also, you can hit our line now. Elle,
Yeah, apparently you can call us.
got that Nextel chirp chirp.
Hit me on the next Tell
Only
Chirp.
the older millennials will get that one.
We asked you guys last week to start leaving us voicemails, apparently because we're gluttons for punishment. However, the topic du jour last week that we wanted you to weigh in on was Gary's disgusting shower habits. How Gary basically was like, I just do a smell test. I really try not to shower that often.
Yeah.
I don't really need to.
Remembering.
And apparently, Gary, our listeners are as dirty as you. Here we go. Here's our first voicemail.
Bijan left, Bijan right. Bijan and the Dirty Birds gonna take flight. But that's not the question asked by Elle Duncan. Do you shower daily or are you a bumpkin? On the contrary, I gotta agree with Gary. Most days I lather and rinse, other days I barely move. And you can ask my wife I don't smell. Don't believe me? Oh well, back to you and Gary, Elle.
Yo, dude.
Do we get barred?
Okay, first of all, that dude, thank you, set the bar literally entirely too high for the rest of our callers going forward. We have a bunch of voicemails, but we got to sit on this one. My friend, thank you very much. And he's got a wife at home who can back him up on this. Elle, thank you. Sometimes we just sit. We don't sweat. A lot of us are blessed with not having BO. But I was shamed into showering this past weekend. I was spending some time up in New Hampshire, just working around the house, kind of hanging out, painting some stuff. I showered, okay, Friday night, okay, into Saturday morning Sports Center. I didn't shower Saturday, forgot, got away from me. Sunday I didn't shower. I drove up to New Hampshire, didn't shower Sunday. And then Monday I was about to go to bed without showering because I was still clean, right? Brushed my teeth and all that stuff. I moisturized my face, but I was like, what would Elle and Christina and Sarah and Jackson, everybody be saying to me right now? 3 days without a shower? So I showered. I was going to text the group, too. I was like, hey, y'all, I just showered.
Shower? No, thank you.
I was, yeah, just like a quick FaceTime. Hey, guys, quick Zoom.
Look at me.
So I showered on Monday. It would have been 3 days without, but anyway.
Let me tell you, by the way, I don't care what you miscreants think, especially right now in the midst of the worst heat wave in centuries.
A little humid.
Even if you're just sitting at the house.
We got
Your
AC.
swamp needs to be washed every day in 94-degree heat. If it is 94 degrees outside, you need to be washing yourself every single day.
I'm just saying, Daddy don't get swampy is all I'm saying.
Okay.
That's it. That's
That,
it.
and listen, and with those showering habits, Daddy also don't get on the other side, as we want you to keep calling us, 203-805-8166. We're going to tease that we've got
Oh.
We've
the
got
next hypothetical.
Yeah, the next hypothetical we'll pose to you guys.
Good one.
It's a really good one, I think, and
We just went through it, both of us, independently.
We're experiencing that. We'll give you a few minor details on the other side when we close things out here on the Elle Duncan Show.
I showered today.
God. All right, welcome back to the Elle Duncan Show. We have a hypothetical for you. We want you guys to weigh in on our phone number, 203-805-8166, and tell us which one is worse.
Okay. Or which one would you prefer?
Which one would you prefer?
Yeah.
Tell them, Gary.
All right, so it's like, because we both sat in this exact scenario.
Yeah, we both sat here.
Would you rather hang with one of your favorite celebrities and get to post about it on social media, talk about it amongst your friends, social media, go on TV, do radio, whatever, talk about it, have a great time. But you might not ever have that experience again, whatever. Or have a famous friend that you cannot tell anybody about. We are talking like NDA levels of secrecy, like you're friends with, I don't know, freaking Oprah or something, but you can't talk about it, right? So would you rather have the former or the latter, which I got to experience yesterday, I guess, technically, golfing with my buddy Jeff. He's the mutual friend between Noah Khan, myself. We played a round of golf yesterday. I'm going to go to a show tomorrow. Looking forward to that, and that'll be cool.
So I know that Gary thinks that Noah Khan is so big that he doesn't need any explanation. But for those of you that are going, who is a Noah Khan?
Stop it.
He is there are people, Gary. You can't just presume people know. Trust me, you can't just presume people know anybody. For those of you that don't know, he is like a folksy singer who is huge. He's blown up. He's now selling out, Fenway and things like that. He's got a couple of songs on the chart. Yeah, like he's really having a moment in a year.
I would say right now he's a top 3 male famous artist. Him, Zach Bryan, and I'm sure there's somebody else that I'm missing.
Like ever? I don't.
No.
Agree.
In the United States right now, he's a top 3 act for sure.
I would say that he is the number one emerging act. Like he is breaking through and having
been in the
a
game
breakthrough
since 2017.
moment. I know, but he's having a breakthrough moment.
Yeah, season of Sticks.
I mean, Sabrina Carpenter has been opening up for Taylor Swift for 2 years, but she is having her breakout season. Yes, this is her season. So I say all that to say, but for probably more than 60% of the population, if Noah Khan walked through the Target, he's not getting attacked at the Target. He's not there yet.
I asked him that.
And?
He was like, actually, I can't go to Target. I go to Walmart. No.
Okay.
No. Okay, so what would you rather have? And we're not saying NDA level of secrecy because your friend who is this famous person is ashamed of you as a friend. Like I asked my girlfriend that and she's like, that just seems weird to me. But for a lot of famous people, they have to protect literally everything about their privacy, which you got to experience this past week.
Yeah, I mean, I went to something that you just don't talk about, and there's very little information on it. It's a small, tight room. I would say for me personally, I would 100% choose the real friendship with someone that nobody knows about.
Sure.
Because I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care, And it is cool when you meet these people, you have this moment, you look up to someone, you get to have a round of golf with a guy that you admire. I mean, you had that this year with Ed Sheeran. He's your hero. You got to
heavy on the hero.
You got to hang out a little bit with Ed Sheeran, and that was cool. And then you got to see him again with the Celtics. But if you felt like there was a real friendship brewing between the two of you, a relationship that could be built on trust, you would not have talked about it on your show. You would not have posted the pictures and been like, I met Ed Sheeran. So I think that the recognition of where you met this person and what the future of your relationship dynamic looks like really portends whether you talk about them or not. I'm pretty sure now that you've talked about Noah, he ain't never going to be your friend, homie.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, my expectations were low. And last night, I was like, man, did I say anything stupid?
Probably.
Were those sympathy laughs?
Yes.
No, they were guttural. No, I definitely made him laugh. I hope he doesn't think I'm weird.
He's going to write a song. And if the song comes out and he's like, I knew a guy named Gary and he was a big old loser. I don't know why I keep going Taylor Swift there when I read these songs.
Also, Elle, thank you so much for being nice to me for the first 59 minutes of this program. But I knew you were going to get that last shot in there.
You knew it was coming. We'll see you on Monday, the Elle Duncan Show.
Oh, hit our line.
Peace. Call us, 203-805-8166.